Good morning. My name is Tammy Smith, your worship leader for this morning's service. Good morning. Okay. My name is Tammy Smith, your worship leader for this morning's service, and this is Common Ground, our celebration of worship for people of many paths who gather to share in the responsible search for meaning and truth. This is a warm and open community where all who come with open minds and kind hearts are welcome, regardless of ability, age, race, gender identity, or sexual orientation. We hope that all who join us today find this a safe place to worship. Now, please greet the people near you. You'll have an opportunity to greet everyone during our coffee hour. When you hear the bell, please remain standing for a moment of silence, followed by our gathering song. Please pause for a moment of silence. Now, let's join the Come As You Are choir in our gathering song, You've Got a Friend.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand and nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, baby, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud now. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you You got a friend when people can be so cold. They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Oh baby, don't you know about winter, spring, summer, or fall? Hey, now all you got to do is call. Lord, I'll be there, yes I will. You got a friend. You got a friend, yeah. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Oh yeah, yeah, you've got a friend.
That was beautiful. This is the fire of our faith. Please join me in these words by Cynthia Landrum as Matt Pargeter-Villareal, our speaker for today, lights our chalice flame. In the bleak and cold winter, we gather ourselves in to light the fire, to warm our spirits, to kindle the flame of love and hope. I invite you to join me in a renewal of our sacred promises. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. Please be seated. And as you're seated, please move toward the walls to make it easier for folks still arriving to find seats. Also know you may enjoy the service remotely upstairs in the loft on a large screen TV. At this time, Kimala Ledbetter, Pathways Board Member at Large and Membership Committee Chair, and Stan Roskowski, Pathways Board President, will lead us through the new member ceremony.
Right there. Okay. Today, we are welcoming 2 new members to our Pathways family. We honor our newest members and their decision to join our Pathways community. Would each of you please come up one at a time to the microphone and introduce yourselves and share with us briefly your journey to Pathways. Then step over to your right as the other comes up. Or you can both come up together and then just take turns. Yeah.
We can do it any which way, huh?
Yeah, we're informal here. We just change it up as it goes. Here, let me scoot it over a little bit there. Okay. Keep it from tripping you.
Good morning, and thank you for welcoming me to Pathways. My name is Elizabeth Hamill Hernandez. I'm originally from Baltimore. I'm new to Texas. I arrived in May of last year. I was living in Orlando, Florida, and I spent 21 years in Florida. I discovered the Unitarian Church in Orlando just by Googling. There's one that's called the Unitarian Universalist, University Unitarian Universalist, Triple U. And then another one, perhaps more famous, closer to downtown Orlando. But I lived closer to the Triple U, and I went there, and I became aware of this, and I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I know about this before? I come from a Catholic background, grade school, high school, and college in Baltimore, and that was rich and uplifting to me. I had no problems with that, but I like the doctrine of, thinking of the web of all existence. And a couple of weeks ago, we had a speaker, Sister Eggerling, I believe her name was, and she reminded us to think of the awe. And that's what I do. I think of the awe of all existence. I know that we are all angels with one wing. We need each other to fly. And I just want to, I enjoy being with people like you who admire and stand in awe of the great diversity that is existence. And through that, we learn from the many paths that hopefully lead to one truth. And I love the openness that you all bring. So thank you very much for welcoming me. And I enjoy, I look forward to learning more about you.
Hi, my name is Tony Sturdivant. About 10 years ago, I left the religious background that I was born into. And I remember telling one of my friends that, and he said, well, what are you going to do now? And at the time, I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, I just don't believe that anymore. And then as time went on, I realized that just knowing what I didn't believe wasn't enough for me. I needed to know what I did believe, and I need to live in that. And so I did some research, and I read an article about something like friendship meetings or something, and it mentioned Unitary Universalists as like similar to friendship meetings. And I wasn't aware of that before. And so I looked into it. I lived in San Antonio before here, so I also came here in May. So we arrived here in Hearst, in this area for at the same time. And so I did go to the church there, and then I started doing the Church of the Larger Fellowship online, and then other similar things. But then when we moved here, my daughters really wanted to go to church. And so I began looking for the Unitarian Universalist churches in the area. And we live in Hearst, and so we saw this one in Hearst. And I just really was drawn to the fact that there wasn't one speaker every week. That was unique to me, and it's something about that I just like. I'm someone that collects quotes and read them when I need to. So just thinking about hearing multiple people say things, because we all have such different perspectives on life. And I just felt like that would be very enriching to me. And then as a mother, I'm always thinking about my children. And so I really didn't want them to be indoctrinated into anything. When they ask me these big spiritual questions, I always say, I can't answer that for you. That's something you're going to have to explore on your own. Some people believe this. Some people believe this. You're going to have to figure out what you believe. So I feel like as a mother and then as just a woman myself, this is a great fit for me and my family. So thank you for being so warm and welcoming to me and my children. And I am just looking forward to more time here.
It is a joy to welcome each of you into our community of memory and hope. Will you walk together with us, sharing the joys and responsibilities of membership? If you will, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you may.
Members of Pathways, will you welcome these people into our congregation?
Yes.
Will you reach out to them in friendship, including them in our activities and fellowship? Yes. Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Yes. Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of us was once a new member?
Yes.
And
Join
please
our strengths, talents, and commitment with yours. You are a part of us, and we are a part of you.
Yeah, just the page is your turn.
All right, we're already to this page? Boy, that was, no, I think, sorry. I think I got it out of order. All right. Okay. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Becoming a member of Pathways Church is an important step, but it is only a first step. I charge you, new members, to grow in your Unitarian Universalist faith. More importantly, I charge you to find and share your special gifts with us. Ours is a shared ministry. We need you. Each of us has a crucial role to play. We need your energy. We need your ideas. Give generously of yourselves, and your rewards will be great.
And we'll be welcoming you as a speaker any day now.
Both of you, yeah.
Becoming a member of a Unitarian Universalist congregation requires the signing of the membership book, but real membership is so much more than just signing the book. You come to sign our membership book now because you've done the so much more. You've come on a personal journey, you've gotten to know Pathways, you've contemplated the responsibilities and benefits of being members of this congregation, and have decided to journey on with us in community to build a spiritual community that changes lives. We welcome you and invite you to sign the book in this assembly and then step across to the other side of the sanctuary.
First, let me give you a welcome hug.
I get to do that too. I'm another one of those grade school, high school, and college Catholics.
Oh, really?
Yes. Only in St. Louis.
All right, switch back with me. Okay, so I've already invited each of you to take a candle from the basket, and now if you'll light it from the flame of our chalice. Yeah, and then come on over back towards me. Beautiful. Okay, so each of you brings light, vitality, and renewal to our community. Each of our lights has a common source. Together, we form a beacon of hope to each other and our wounded world. May your light shine brightly among us for many years.
This is like that analogy of each of us being a drop in the ocean, and now each of us is a bit of that fire.
Yes.
And all of you could take a little bit of that fire. Same thing. Yeah.
That is right. Welcome to Pathways. Okay, yeah. And now, if you will blow out your candle and go put it back in the basket.
We are truly enriched by the presence of these new members. Be sure to greet them after the service. And we invite anyone interested in joining Pathways to plan to attend our Inquirers class and to continue to be involved in the life of this congregation.
I'm going to ask the two of them when the service is over to come back up and stand up here with me, and that way if any of you wants to come right after service and shake their hand. All right.
The monthly theme we explore in Common Ground each month is also explored with age-appropriate activities in children and youth religious education classes. This month's theme is, what does it mean to be a people of integrity? Today, the children in grades 1 through 5 will listen to the story, The Wise Master. No matter what we do, we always have a part of ourselves that is quietly watching and that knows right from wrong and can guide us if we listen. The youth in 6th grade through high school will finish watching the movie King in the Wilderness. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is this month, January 20th. King in the Wilderness chronicles the final chapters of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, revealing a conflicted leader who faced an onslaught of criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. At this time, children are invited to take part in religious education. Let us send them out with these words. We pass this flame of religious freedom from generation to generation. Our call to worship today is by Jennifer Johnson. These are anxious days, hair-pulling, hand-wringing days. We are bombarded from all sides with new and unprecedented developments. Grave threats to our national values and institutions on one hand, and countless calls to action on the other. And then the flood of critique and analysis. Whose strategy is winning? How do we outmaneuver the other side? These are indeed uncertain times. And yet, there are some things we do know for certain. We know that our blue boat home continues to rotate on its axis, continues its familiar sojourn around the sun. The sun sets and rises, and if we remember to pause, we may lose ourselves, but for a moment, in the glorious play of light and color on the horizon. Beneath the crust of cold earth, the crocuses and daffodils are stirring in their winter hibernation. The energy of life and living is pulsing in them, and in the latent blades of grass and the unseen maple buds. And it's pulsing in us, too. The pulse of life calls us to nourish our bodies with good food and movement, to nourish our spirits with art and song, friendship and tenderness, and quiet. When we heed the pulse of life, we know what we need to do. To rise in the morning and rest in darkness, to put our hands, hearts, and minds to work, to meet those in our midst with compassion, to join with the vulnerable and speak truth to power, to play with our youngest and hear the wisdom of our elders, to heal the sick and wounded, to grieve the dying and remember the dead, to be of use, and sometimes to be still. The pulse of life is beating in each and every one of us. Amidst the clamor of these times, let us heed its sure and steady rhythm. Now, once again, please stand in body or spirit and join the Come As You Are choir in our worship song, All Will Be Well.
Said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. And Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow? And Julia, do you not know about pain? And I said, Julia, do you not know about hunger
not know? Do you not know about loneliness and Julian? Do you not know? Do you not know about disease? And I said, Julian, do you not know? Do you not know about cruelty? I said, Julian, it's too much. It brought me to my knees. She said, all will be well. All will be well. All manner of things will be well. She said, no one does not know about sorrow, and no one does not know about pain. She said, no one does not know about hunger, and no one does not know about shame. And she said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. She said, no one does not know about loneliness, and no one does not know about disease. She said, no one does not know about cruelty. She said, I know it's too much. It brought me to my knees, where I heard, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand, and Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. And she said, baby girl, do you not know about tenderness? And baby girl, do you not know about friends? She said, baby girl, do you not know about spirit? She said, baby girl, do you not know it's only love that never ends? And so all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. And so all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well.
Please be seated. Today, Matthew Pargeter-Villareal returns to speak with us once again. Matt is a recent graduate of Bright Divinity School and an aspirant for ministry with the UUA. He and his husband, Fernando, attend Westside UU Church in Fort Worth, where he is the co-facilitator of the Young Adults Group. Matt is also beginning his second unit of clinical pastoral education at Baylor All Saints Medical Center in Fort Worth, where he serves as a chaplain. Welcome, Matt, to our pulpit.
Matt is also a very, very big fan of that song by Meg Barnhouse. I have two readings, well, 1.5-ish readings for you. The first is Ultimate Grace by Maria Teresa Gustillo Gallardo, who I actually just learned while I was reading this morning was the first, she's a Unitarian Universalist minister in the Philippines and the first lesbian Unitarian Universalist minister in the Philippines. So I thought that was kind of cool. Ultimate Grace, the heart of every matter, in every perfection and imperfection, in all senses and tenses, In moments of every right and wrong, presenting choices to inquiring hearts. You are in the purpose and the journey of mishaps. You are in moments of understanding and misunderstanding. We have but to seek and invoke you and enable the work of your Spirit. As prayer is but an articulated common dream, we invoke our ultimate concern for the work of faith. We long to be hand in hand, creating a world where everyone belongs. Free us from our hindrances. Make invisible things visible, the voiceless heard. Lay what is hidden before us. Make the chained unbound, the doubting believe. What is confusing, let clarify. As hardened hearts grow soft to the touch. May we come in fullness with gratefulness, in faithfulness to one another. May we speak in kind conversing, disclosing our truths with care, expressing our practical wisdom to learn of its practical limits. For the world was not meant to be possessed by a singular truth, but to be built together upon revelations. O universe with stars in your hair, you have shown that great things emerge from humble beginnings, no matter how flawed and lacking. That one story in a stable, in prison, in the cave, in destitution, in abject poverty, if lived in all sincerity, can liberate the darkness, from darkness the many. May our eyes seek to appreciate, our breaths to dedicate power, our hands to warm each other. When loving fearlessly, we are invincible. When free will is deliberate, we are pivotal. When dreaming together, we are infinite. Remind us of the very questions that we have turned away from, that we thought could not be answered or are impossible to realize. Dear universal intelligence, your embrace contains everything but confines nothing. In this ever-insistence of existence, may this one moment count. Amen. So the second reading I have is actually a YouTube music video, like the millennial that I am. So I invite all of you to look up here and watch Grace by Casey Stratton.
Showed up just in time when I needed so much. I took it as a sign. It was more than just love. And I knew you were mine. Well, I saw in your eyes understanding and hope. Entered my life so soon after a loss. Wasn't sure I could find a path back to love. But in seconds I saw it was there all along. So I opened my heart. It was only the start. Now I've seen grace in the dark and the light, in the right place at the right time. I had lost all my hope when I lost those 3 souls, until fate came again, put the moon in my hand. For all that I know, those before had a road, and they sent you to me, so what I couldn't see. Such a shift towards such change, not as painful this time, but a whirlwind no less. I held on for dear life, but I stayed on the path with machete in hand, cleared the way for the truth to offer me proof. Now I've seen grace in the dark and the light, in the right place at the right time. I had lost all my hope when I lost those 3 souls, until fate came again, put the moon in my hand. For all that I know, those before had a road, and they sent you to me, so what I couldn't see. I should not have been so surprised. I always keep my heart tuned for signs of frequency. Are never lost in my life. I lost all my hopes when I lost those 3 souls, until fate came again, put the moon in my hand. For all that I know, those before had a road, and they sent you to me, so I couldn't see.
I invite you to assume a posture comfortable for you for prayer and meditation. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. In this time of meditation, may you rest in the grace of the world and be free. In weakness, may you sense the strength of the eternal hills and rest in the grace of the world. In failure, may you be upheld like the buoyancy of water and rest in the grace of the world. In limitation, may you remember that the choices may be as great as the expanse of the sky and rest in the grace of the world. In insecurity, may you feel the solid earth beneath your feet and rest in the grace of the world. In despair, may you hear the joy in birds singing and rest in the grace of the world. In fear, may you feel the warmth of the sun and rest in the grace of the world. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So be it. When I came across Martha L. Munson's simple meditation, based on an even more simple and profound quote by American poet Wendell Berry, it seemed to speak almost perfectly to the thoughts around the theme of grace that had been swirling around in my head for weeks, yearning to manifest themselves in words on the page. My husband and I spent the Christmas holiday with my parents, getting a glimpse of the brand new house they had built for themselves in the middle of nowhere in the very appropriately named town of Comfort, Texas. As we gathered together as a family, something we rarely get the opportunity to do, and shared memories and stories over copious amounts of food, including the obligatory South Texas tradition of several dozen tamales, my dad asked me if I would say grace at dinner on Christmas Day. This was not an unusual request, one that I've come to expect since announcing to my parents that I was going through the process of becoming a minister, and I was happy to oblige. As I pondered over what to say, it got me thinking about what it means when we say the word grace, and just what kind of relationship we have with it. The word grace, by virtue of its Latin root gratia, has come to be synonymous with being thankful for receiving something. In Spanish, the word for thank you is gracias. But there is also a completely separate theological definition. That definition, according to Merriam-Webster, is unmerited divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration or sanctification. The Oxford English Dictionary echoes the same sentiment, defining grace in theological terms as the free and unmerited favor of God. I was struck by the fact that the word unmerited appeared in both definitions. was the last time you used the word unmerited in polite conversation? It's definitely not a word that we are used to hearing often. For something to be unmerited, it means that there is nothing that one must specifically do in order to achieve whatever that something is. Essentially, a person does not have to be a certain kind of individual or have to be at a certain level of performance in order to receive grace or assistance from the divine. Broken down even further into layperson's terms, grace is something that is given by God to every single person. Furthermore, considering that it is unmerited, it is also something that we can never lose or have taken away from us. If we believe this to be true, then why is grace something that we are still asking for? Why is it something that we are still crossing our fingers hoping to receive? Is that what we are truly asking for? Or is it something else? It seems to me that we as humans have a transactional relationship and expectation with God when it comes to grace. It is only when we are receiving things that we consider to be good, or when things are going the way we want them, that we consider ourselves to have God's grace, or that things are happening by the grace of God. If, however, grace is something that is divine assistance that is always with us regardless, then that means it must also be present when things are not going the way that we want them to. Grace is both in having an abundance of things and also having nothing. It is present when we are at rock bottom with no hope in sight. Grace is not simply the cosmic cure-all that alleviates and eradicates all hardship and makes our lives easy and error-free from that point forward. It does not provide us the solution. It gives us the fuel we need to keep moving forward in order to find that solution. It is this duality that I hear in Munson's words. We are invited and called to rest in the grace of the world and be free, even in the moments we would rather avoid. Moments like weakness, failure, limitation, insecurity, despair, and fear. In each of those negative connotations, there is a dormant and ever-present sense of hope and strength that reminds us of the divine assistance that is always there in the grace of the world. It also speaks to the reality that is present in moments of grace. It is still there, even if you do not have everything figured out, or if you have no idea where to turn in order to find the next step of the journey. It is the underlying sense that somehow everything will be okay and everything will find a resolution. It is the assurance that the next step will make itself known and visible, even if we must rest from having to actively seek it out. It is this relationship that I hear in the words of Casey Stratton's music that served as the reading for today. Stratton personifies grace as an acquaintance that has come into his life, someone that has happened to wander into his life when it was least expected. Despite his initial reluctance and uncertainty to allow this stranger into his life, Stratton, whose autobiographical narrator suggests that he is at a low point in his life, opens himself up to the possibility of receiving grace. He speaks frankly, acknowledging that he has found grace in the dark and the light, and he brings us along the journey with him. And we hear that once it has become part of his life, that his situation begins to change. This begins to happen both lyrically and musically within the song, as Stratton's voice begins to pick up strength and the music swells into a more confident crescendo. By the time the piece reaches its full climax, Stratton's voice is literally and proverbially ringing from the rafters of the church in which he is singing. He is not only speaking of how the encounter with grace has impacted his life, but announcing like a fanfare of trumpets from the rooftops to others, especially those in similar situations to that of Stratton's narrator, that the grace he is allowed to be present has been the catalyst that propelled his life to change for the better. It is the same sentiment that I hear even louder and clearer in the words of Maria Teresa Bustillo Gallardo in the invocation from earlier. Bustillo speaks directly to the supernatural power that she feels and to which she relates. It is not just God or the divine, but ultimate grace and universal intelligence. She acknowledges the existence of grace in all possible situations, perfection and imperfection, understanding and misunderstanding, the journey of mishaps that we all find ourselves stumbling along. Bustillo's powerful words not only invoke what the recognition of the power of grace can do for our own individual lives, but what is possible and what can be achieved if we harness its power as a collective people. Her words speak directly to our sixth and seventh principles, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. It is when we discover that, in the midst of all of our struggles and at our lowest points, we have divine assistance that is always walking alongside us. It serves as a reminder that we are not alone in our journeys. Once we come to the realization that we are not alone, we can become the interdependent web of all existence and serve to remind others that they are not alone in the struggle either. It is once we are one united body that, as Bustillo says, we are infinite when we are dreaming, and we are invincible when we are loving fearlessly. It is together with our collective grace that we can turn the peace, liberty, and justice for all from the sixth principle into a reality. As much as it is something that has been given to us by the divine, we get the opportunity to be reminders of grace to others who, in the midst of their struggles, need to know that grace is not only present in their lives, but that it can do more powerful things than we could possibly imagine. I hear it in the story of my own life and my own struggle. When I was 18 years old, I moved more than 3,000 miles away from home to begin my life attending my dream college in my favorite city, Washington, D.C. I was excited at the prospect and the direction that the future held, and I was ready to embrace whatever life had in store. I was not prepared for that reality to look like coming to the realization that I was queer, and that the more and more I began to embrace myself and who I was, the less and less that the friends that I had initially come out to became with me. All of the friends that I had the September of my first semester had turned on me by March of the second semester. Naturally, I began to downward spiral. Frustration at my situation led to depression. Depression led to not wanting to be a burden on other people's lives, which led to thoughts of suicide. I don't believe in having regrets in life, but I do feel like there was grace in that struggle, and in the still, unexplained voice that I heard one day in my dorm that told me to get to the counseling center and seek help. My life was led in a completely different direction, one that led to me transferring schools and coming back to Texas to be closer to family. It was in Texas that I was able to flourish. I was able to live openly as myself, to finish school and graduate with honors, to meet and marry the person that I love more than anything, and to realize the call for ministry that I had been ignoring for years that would change my life for the better and give it the meaning and purpose for which I had been searching. To say that there is grace in the struggle is allowing ourselves to rest in the midst of the unfinished struggle and allow those forces which are more powerful than ourselves to continue the work and guide us in unexpected directions and present us with unexpected conclusions. Perhaps we find this in the strength and the collective work of our community. Perhaps it is a moment of rest in order to find deep inside of ourselves the strength that we did not know that we had in order to resume the struggle and better navigate the obstacles we once swore we could never get through and never get past. When I was looking up the theological definition of grace, I was thinking of it in terms of being a noun. But it can also function as a verb. The definition of grace as a verb, from the same Merriam-Webster definition as earlier, is to confer dignity or honor upon. We have been the recipients of dignity and honor from the divine. We have been valued as worthy and important. And that will never go away or be taken from us. It will be with us in the highest of high points and the lowest point of all. And that is something that can have more power and more impact than we can realize. So, as you leave from here today, I invite you to put aside the perceptions you have of grace, what it is and what it is supposed to be, and rest for a while. Perhaps in the peace of the world, as Wendell Berry suggests, and allow yourself to encounter it, just like the narrator in Casey Stratton's song. And I hope that you not only get the chance to know it in that one encounter, but to also find the grace that has always been yours. May it be the companion that you need along the journey and ever present with you in the struggle. And may you embody the encouragement to others to find that same grace and allow it to change their lives as well. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Matthew. As we've received, so we're asked to give. Please use the offering envelopes provided. Green envelopes are for pledges or gifts to Pathways. Gold envelopes are for our donations to our outreach partner. Our outreach partner for January, February, and March is Safe Haven of Tarrant County. Safe Haven's mission is to end domestic violence through safety, support, prevention, and change. Safe Haven is Tarrant County's only full-service agency providing no-cost 24-hour care at 2 emergency shelters and transitional housing to families seeking their first taste of independence. Clients under the care of Safe Haven receive counseling, legal services, case management, and so much more. Safe Haven's professional education staff provides domestic violence prevention programs to high school students throughout Tarrant County, and our partner abuse intervention program is truly changing the behaviors of offenders. Through our outreach, education, support services, and prevention programs, we are making progress to end domestic violence in Tarrant County. Thank you for your generous gifts, kindly and freely given, this morning and electronically or by mail throughout the month to support this congregation and our outreach efforts. Your offering is truly appreciated. We hope that each of you, on your individual path through the joys and questions of life, found some common ground with your fellow travelers at Pathways here today. As Matt extinguishes our chalice flame, let us join in these words. This is the message of our faith, to act with passion in the face of injustice, to love with courage in the midst of life's pain. This is the meaning of our chalice flame. May it empower our hearts until we are together again. Milestones is a time to share our news with our Pathways family. Longtime Pathways member George Smith passed away last Sunday afternoon in Arizona, where he and his wife Claudia had moved about a year ago. There will soon be a memorial service at the UU congregation they've started attending in Surprise, Arizona. Then later on we will have one here. The photo of George with the dogs in the upper center was taken on New Year's Day. Despite encountering a wide variety of physical problems over the last several years, he always did all he could to help out with a can-do attitude and his unflappable good humor. He'll be missed by many. We'll let you know more about the upcoming memorial service and what can be done to help Claudia as details are available. To all our first-time visitors, we hope you found today's service meaningful. Come again. It is always something different and wonderful here. If you would like to learn more about Pathways, stay around after worship, have some coffee and snacks, and talk with us. We'd love to meet you. Be sure to share your contact information with us at our welcome table in the foyer. If you like, sign up on our website for our weekly e-newsletter to be informed of events here at Pathways. There are meetings and events here at Pathways throughout the week. Here are just a few, along with other announcements. For our full lineup, see Pathways Weekly or the events calendar on our website at pathwaysuu.org. Also, take home the order of service sheet. It's inside your packet on your chairs because it has the dates of upcoming events on the announcements slide. First, I would like to make a note. Ted told me that there was a correction on the calendar. The email for the men's group meeting was incorrect. The meeting is not on Saturday. It is Friday, January 17th at 7 p.m. at Ted Kuzmersky's house. If you have questions, please ask Ted. Ted, wave your hand. That's for the men's meeting. Last night we held our monthly circle dinner. Our next circle dinner happens Saturday, February 8th. The best way to get to know each other here at Pathways is to host and attend circle dinners. Ask anyone who has hosted or attended a Pathways circle dinner, and you'll hear about the fun evenings gathered around a table. Sign up today in Pathways lobby as a host or guest. Last night I was a guest at Stephen Braun's circle dinner, and I just want to warn you, if you sign up in the wrong column, you'll be hosting instead of just attending a Pathways dinner. So thank you, Stephen and Jackie, who helped Stephen prepare as an unexpected host. Contemplative retreats are a way to deepen your relationship with the holy, with love, and with life. Please join Horizon UU member Reverend Rob Moore and Pathways UU member Sandy Moore, she's sick and not with us today, for this contemplative retreat offering a survey of spiritual practices that will include sacred reading, a labyrinth walk, centering prayer, and examine prayer. Whether you wish to deepen an existing practice, learn other ways to practice, or incorporate a new practice into your life, this retreat is for you. The retreat will take place on Saturday, January 18th at Horizon UU Church in Carrollton, Texas, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And the best news about this retreat is it's being offered at no charge. For more information, contact Sandy Moore. Once again, Sandy's not with us today.
Hey, can I just say,
Sure.
I'm going, and I'd be happy to give anyone a ride. Mary Mac's riding with me, but if anybody else wanted to.
Next Sunday at 2 p.m. Sunday or Saturday? Oh, okay. I can make it. Okay. For some reason in my head, I thought it was Saturday. That's great. I can make it. Next Sunday at 2 p.m., there will be women's marches organized in both downtown Dallas and downtown Fort Worth. For the Dallas one, UUs will gather at 1:30 at Flora and Ruth Streets by Booker T. Washington High School, directly across the street from St. Paul United Methodist Church, which is the march starting point. Look for the banner that says First Unitarian Church Trusts and Respects Women. The march will start promptly at 2 p.m. Look for the banner again after the march at the rally site in City Hall Plaza. For more information, check Facebook, Women's March 2020, Dallas, Texas. For Unitarian Universalists attending the 4th Annual Women's March and Rally in Fort Worth, UUs will gather starting at 1:30 at 100 East Weatherford. That's the courthouse. The women. So I go every year. Anyway, it's lots of fun. Great energy, girls and men who want to support us women. The Pathways Women Book Club will be getting together at 2 p.m. on Thursday. Oh, go ahead. Yes, so we should coordinate carpool information since it is on Sunday and after Pathways. The Pathways Women's Book Club will be getting together at 2 p.m. on Thursday, January 16th, to discuss Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. Oh, lots of errors on our calendars. So 1 p.m. this Thursday, the Women's Book Club. The 2020 directories are available today. See Marty in the lounge. Get your copy, Marty. There she goes. So talk to Marty. Get your copy of the directory. Reminder to parents, please pick up your children from the nursery and RE immediately after Common Ground so all ages can share in fellowship and food. The nursery will reopen at 11:30 for the adult discussion group. After we break for coffee and conversation, we continue with our adult discussion groups. TED Talks will meet here in the sanctuary. Today we'll listen to why we need to reclaim vanishing food cultures. Around the world, indigenous food cultures disappear because of industrialized agriculture and a shifting, often Western-influenced concept of the ideal diet. Journalist and food researcher Aparna Pallavi makes an urgent case for preserving these cultures and shedding the stigma-laden attitudes that are driving them into extinction. On My Path, we'll meet upstairs in the loft. This group is for adults to celebrate and deepen their individual spiritual journey. It is open to all seekers from any path and is a safe place to speak your truth in a circle of trust. Visitors and newcomers are welcome and encouraged to attend either of these adult discussion groups. Now please stand as you are willing and able to join the Come As You Are choir in singing our closing hymn, Fire of Commitment. Okay. That should be at the end.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Yeah, woo! I like that.
Our closing words today are by Phyllis O'Connell. May the prayers of our hearts and the songs of our lips, shared in this holy hour of worship, be with us now and in all the days to come. Amen. Blessed be. Go in peace.